Big Jerry says the Cowboys system is perfect for Dak Prescott. Max, what's he really saying here?
Don't look at me. I did what I was supposed to do. Let me say this. A lot of times Jerry Jones' name comes up, and I'm taking shots, basically, right?
Yeah.
They're fair. It's fair criticism, I believe. It's my opinion. But it sounds like I'm taking shots, and I'm anti-Jerry Jones. And this is easy in this business to confuse things. There are things about Jerry Jones that I like. Stephen A., as much as it's self-aggrandizing and strokes his ego, and everyone knows he needs that and all these things, he puts himself out there. He does. I mean, he exposes himself to this kind of criticism all the time. Thank God for Jerry Jones, for us, right? But what is he saying really here? He's exposed. Like, we'll talk about him next week on after his next weekly appearance. I'm sure he'll give us stuff to chew on. He's saying, we drafted all the offensive linemen. We got an elite running back. We're installing an offense that's right for him. If he doesn't get it done, I have done my job. Don't look at me. It's not my responsibility. Kind of passing the buck.
But isn't that fair? He has.
I agree. Dak Prescott is in a good position, except, as Stephen A. might tell you, Stephen A., what does he not have so many of? He's got the line, he's got the running back, but...
Here's the reality. He doesn't have that many weapons at the wideout spot, but this is the biggest thing that I peeled from what Jerry Jones was saying. Jerry Jones, basically, in my opinion, was disrespecting Dak Prescott. Because if this were Tony Romo, Jerry Jones would be talking about Tony Romo and Tony Romo's ability. In Dak Prescott, he's talking about the pieces that we have around him. You know, it's Dak Prescott friendly. He needs this in order to be effective. We can't just look at his abilities or what have you. We're thinking about Ezekiel Elliott. We're thinking about the stout offensive line. You got Tyron Smith. He's returning. He started 13 games last year, missed 3. You got Zach Martin. He started 13 games, all 16 games. You got Travis Frederick. He started all 16 games. Lael Collins. He started 16 games. All of these dudes are returning, and 3 of them that I mentioned were Pro Bowlers. This is arguably the best offensive line in football. Some people would say the Eagles. Some people would look at the Steelers and maybe a couple of others. They'll throw them in the conversation. But the Dallas Cowboys are the creme de la creme.
When healthy, that's the best line.
When healthy,
yeah.
right? So what you have is a situation where we're talking about a guy in Dak Prescott. What did he do at Mississippi State? What he did was he had a stout offensive line. They ran the football. They played a power game or whatever. He threw when he needed to throw, et cetera, et cetera. Jerry Jones is saying we're leaning on that philosophy, the ingredient to that success. This is the direction that we're going in now. The flip side to all of that is that's not usually Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones, even when he's built something, doesn't just talk about those things. He has a particular player that he raves about, and it has almost always been Tony Romo. He loves this man. That was like an adopted son to him, okay? We noticed the only person that's in a conversation to the level that Tony Romo was Jason Garrett, Mr. Puppet himself. So the bottom line is, when you look at the Dallas Cowboys right now, the fact that Jerry Jones is bloviating to the degree that he is speaks about the offensive line. Speaks about Ezekiel Elliott. You got to remember, he's also on record talking about this is the best defense he's had, which makes no sense whatsoever because there's 3 Super Bowl champions that had a better defense than the one he's looking at. But he's talking about how great this defense is supposed to be. He's basically saying, you know what, Dak, just do your job, follow the plan, and we'll be all right, as opposed to appreciating what Dak Prescott brings to the table and how great he could potentially be.
This is a legitimate question. And I'm not sure what the answer is. That's why I'm asking. How much do you think that's because, on the one hand, of Jerry Jones' relationship with Tony Romo?
Yeah, a lot of it.
Or, on the other, the fact that Tony Romo, I think of Brett Favre, I think of quarterbacks who make things happen. Those guys who give you the sense that they're big playmakers are oftentimes more adored by the media and therefore maybe even by an owner like Jerry Jones than a game manager. Tom Brady was not as celebrated early in his career, and Dak Prescott is more cut from that cloth.
Let me be very, very clear about what I'm about to say, because Jerry Jones does not have that argument, because there was a young Troy Aikman that he was willing to invest in, and he delivered 3 Super Bowl championships. So it ain't about youth, okay? It's about who Jerry Jones has his preferences for. Jerry Jones relented to Dak Prescott for 2 reasons and 2 reasons only. The health of Tony Romo and the fact that Dak Prescott had such a breakout rookie season that Jerry Jones had no choice. Even even when Dak Prescott was killing it, just running roughshod over everybody, and the Dallas Cowboys looked like the best team in football, even though I swore to the world they wouldn't win a playoff game, and I was right. The bottom line is that Dak Prescott was flat out balling, and every single week, Jerry Jones, it was like literally going to the dentist and pulling teeth to get him to be complimentary about Dak Prescott because of Tony Romo.
Yeah.
If Tony Romo were healthy, Jerry Jones would have found a way for Dak Prescott to be right back on the bench.
100%. And you know when he did have his back? When he backed up his stance on players must stand in the anthem. That's when Jerry was ready to praise Dak.